Well, happy Friday, the 27th of December. I sort of view today as uh, sort of right in the middle of the holiday limbo between Christmas and New Year's when things get spooky. You know, they say that during the uh, Walpurgisnacht and Halloween are times that, or Samhain, time when the veil between the worlds is thin. Well, I think it's pretty damn thin right now too. And uh, most of us who are at least semi-conscious uh, are having mixed emotions here at this particular uh, time of year. We're happy, of course, like to celebrate the joyous season of Christmas, celebrate the miracle of Hanukkah, and everybody else also has just all sorts of fun things that they do at this time. That's all fine and good, but it does make me feel like I'm in some kind of a strange limbo. When I was a kid, this was part of our Christmas vacation time. Okay, so it's time to sort of play with the toys that you got. In my particular case, I immediately broke my toys before Christmas Day was over. Half of them were broken. Uh, but that's just me. I've forgotten all about it. But it is very strange, and I don't know about you, but uh, my dreams have been uh, unsettling this year. Visions of sugar plums were not dancing in my head. There are other things, but so I just thought I'd share that with you. I'm not sure if you share that as well. Be that as it may, I'm going to talk today about something that I've been writing about for the last year or so in preparation for the new book. Uh, uh, and it's the idea of uh, the universality of the Hebrew alphabet vis-a-vis the tarot. Now, I had almost nothing but good things to report about my experience, my years with Rosicrucian Order Amorc, Amorc, uh, ancient mystical something Rosicrucis. Uh, Wonderful people. I enjoyed their lessons immensely. I can't say that they were hardcore magical at all, but they were mystical, and they weren't aimed at hardcore occultists. They're aimed at normal people that wanted to broaden their their mystical outlook on things. And for that, they did a wonderful, wonderful job. But for those of us that wanted to know more, and remember, I'm in 20s, early 20s, uh, uh, there seemed to be opportunities to learn more and to study other things too, although they didn't uh, encourage or endorse anybody else. They were in close alliance with what was known as the traditional Martinist order and the traditional TMO, and that had a wonderful Kabbalah uh, focus. Sort of, it was more magically inclined, and I was active just for a couple years in the traditional Martinist order. But in order to join that, you could, if you weren't in Amark, this is the rule at the time, if you weren't in Amark, you could join the Martinists right away, the TMO right away. But if you were in Amark, you had to be of, I believe at the time it was the fourth degree in Amark before you could be accepted into the Martinist order. Why am I telling you all of this? Well, I don't believe that the TMO provided this supplemental course, or whether it was just something that Amark already had on hand. But it was an extracurricular correspondence course on the Kabbalah. And they spelled it in a very traditional way, Kabbalah. And I was really looking forward to that. And it came sort of like the Amark monographs, only they were more Spartan, and you'd get 2 weeks worth in every mailing. And I think it only lasted maybe 8 weeks. And at that time, I was already taking the Builders of the Adytum, BOTA, Tarot Fundamentals, a marvelous correspondence course. And I was introduced to the writings of Paul Foster Case, who I really liked Paul Foster Case's work, okay? And it was like Hermetic Kabbalah, and it was tied to tarot cards. You sort of learned your Kabbalah and the tarot kind of at the same time. And I was resonating to that. But when I got my first Kabbalah course, provided then at the time by Amark, I was really, really disappointed. It spent most of its time, and I may be exaggerating because I was a 20-year-old brash know-it-all at the time, but it seemed to spend more time telling you what Kabbalah isn't than telling you what Kabbalah is. And it spent a great deal of time discouraging you at how hard and how intricate and how complex Kabbalah was, and that probably the person that's reading this really doesn't want to get into that. And that general attitude, like, oh, this is too hard, too complex. Okay, here's what it isn't, and you're not. And one of the things that it said Kabbalah definitely was not was that tarot cards have nothing to do with Kabbalah. And you know, when they finally came out and said that, and I knew perfectly well the wonderful, direct, obvious correspondences between the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and the 22 trumps of the tarot. Paul Case laid it out quite clearly, at least I thought. And I thought, what a disservice that this course is for somebody who may want to get into Kabbalah. And it made all sorts of technical references to, I can't imagine that it didn't refer to the Sefer Yetzirah, but many of the books of the Zohar. and which are totally the deepest end of the pool to jump right into. And not only that, it made you feel terribly inadequate, permanently inadequate to do it if you weren't also part of the Jewish culture and are already steeped in not only the Pentateuch, the Hebrew scriptures, but all of the other collateral stuff, books and things like that. And it seemed like it was meant to overwhelm you and completely discourage you from further study. But it particularly aimed at tarot. It's like, if you see Hebrew letter, and it said something like this, okay? If you see Hebrew letters on tarot cards, run away. Now, it might not have said run away, but if you see Hebrew letters on tarot cards, run away. If anyone is discussing Hebrew letters and tarot, run away. It has nothing to do with it. Well, obviously, I sort of gave that approach a pass because it's not like that. And I've written a couple of Kabbalah books of my own that, in my own stupid little way, are sort of anti that kind of Kabbalah. As a matter of fact, when I first started to talk about it, I tell it all the time. When I was doing a book launch at Bodhi Tree in Los Angeles for the Tarot Ceremonial Magic, which is Kabbalah based, I was confronted by a real live LA Orthodox Kabbalist, that said what I taught wasn't Kabbalah. It was like, it's chicken, like it was an insult, chicken Kabbalah. And I said, oh, hey, that's a good idea. But anyway, if they told me that tarot cards have nothing to do with the Kabbalah, then my answer to that is Kabbalah has everything to do with tarot. And I could go on to say, and Kabbalah has everything to do with everything. An example, okay, we're coming up on the last tarot card in the series, the Universe card. Okay, it says the Universe card, it's the Hebrew letter Tav. And it's attributed to the planetary sphere of Saturn. Now, we all know Saturn is above the abyss. It's the opening act of the supernal triad. In other words, it is the gateway, the bab to the singularity of Godhead. And so it's a heavy card. But it's one of those Hebrew letters that does double duty as far as its correspondence is concerned. The Aeon card, or the Judgment card, is Sheen, and Sheen is the elemental fire. There's three technical ancient elements: fire, water, and air. And the three mother letters of the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph, Mem, Shin, are attributed to those. Okay? But Tav does double duty. Like Shin does double duty as spirit and fire, This one, Tav, does double duty as Saturn and Earth. Saturn and Earth. And as we recall from the Emerald Tablet of Hermes, it is true and no lie, certain and to be depended upon, that the superior agrees with the inferior, and the inferior with the superior, to effect that one truly wonderful work. That's the as above, so below. Kabbalists have another way of putting that. Kether, number 1, is in Malkuth, number 10, as Malkuth is in Kether, only after a different fashion. You've often heard when you're in London, okay, if you ever have tried to drive in London, first of all, it's expensive now, but I wouldn't recommend it. Take a cab; they have the knowledge. But if you have to drive in London, you have a booklet that says London A to Z, A to Z. When you're in England, you got to get over the fact that they say Z is Z, they spell it Z. Okay, London A to Z. Well, that means everything. Okay, I'll take everything on the menu, A to Z. Okay. Now in Hebrew, the first letter and the last letter are Aleph and Tav. So you'd say everything from Aleph to Tav. Okay. There's the Aleph right there. There's the Tav right there. It's kind of funny because they both have that kind of foot on there. Notice they have that foot on the left hand thing there. And this is like a banana slug phallic looking thing running down the middle of it, okay. And this has sort of a yonic kind of big opening. Okay. Whatever it is, they go together nice, don't they? And they spell A-T, at. Aleph Tav is where it's at. And at, I don't know how they actually pronounce it in Hebrew, means the essence. It adds up to 401. Now, A to Z. That would, if you'd look at the creational cycle, you might think, well, A is the very beginning of the cycle of creation, and T would be the very end of the cycle, the 22nd letter. But tarot does something that's just highly logical to a mathematician, I would think, that the sequence begins not with 1, but with 0. 0. Now, even though Aleph is the numerical 1, the tarot card key is number 0, because the tarot is going to make an attempt to explain the unexplainable. Now here is, there we see that's the air symbol, and there's Aleph there, the Fool card. Now if you just sort of squint your eyes and look at that, you can see that those rings, Ein Sof, Ein Sof, Ein Sof, Ein Sof 4, are representing a big zero. Just to remind us that's a zero, that's the key number. But it's a zero. That's before the beginning. Swinburne started, before the beginning of years, there came to the, okay. The fool is potentially everything jumping through the hoop into being. It's the zero that precedes creation, that precedes existence. And at the very end, then you got all the adventures represented by the following tarot cards. Those are aspects. Here's right away. There's bet. It's a house, a container for everything to fit in. Everything that's coming up can fit in the house. Okay, and I don't want to get into that. Let's go all the way to the end, to the Tav. That's a zero too. That's a zero of everything that existed, everything that had been created is now totally fulfilled. All the stuff that was going to be done, all of the light, the energy, the adventures, the memories, returning back through the zero at the end of the cycle. And that's exactly what happens at number 3 on the tree of life. And all that stuff, all that light, all of that energy, all those memories, all of that everything cross from a level represented by number 4 on the tree of life and is poured back into the zero. Crowley uses the symbol of the cup of Babylon, where it's all poured back in. Everything, the essence at the essence of all, poured back in to the cup of Babylon in number 3, the sphere of Saturn. Now, if you were going to perform a miracle of creation in meditation form, and you wanted to create existence itself in your own thought experiment meditation, what might you do? If you're a good ex-yogi, you'd sit on the floor, excuse me, you'd sit on the floor in a position where you won't fall over for a while. Perhaps face east. I like to at least start things by facing east. It's arbitrary, but let's just say east. And I would take the universe card. I would take that zero and put it in my pocket. Like if I had a shirt pocket, I'd put it right there. And I would identify with that card. I would be that center because it's Saturn and it's Binah. Okay, I would also say that's black That's why I'm in black today. I would put that right there, and I would totally identify that. That's who I am. I'm the universe in my pocket. Then if you wanted to start to create the universe, this zero, this center of, it's not even a center. It's a zero without a center. I'd say, okay, create away. How would I start? I'd make elbow room. I got to stretch from this pointless point. I'm going to stretch completely up and completely down from here. I would create up and down as elbow room and everything else. And that creates this zero that the fool is, that's represented by the fool. Out of this, streams this. And in a sense, creates above and below. And I've created the first mother letter. Okay. Front and back would be the second mother letter, mem, creating east and west. And they have tarot cards associated with. And then I'd stream right and left and create north and south. Tarot cards have nothing to do with Kabbalah? No. Kabbalah has everything to do with tarot. In fact, Kabbalah has everything to do with everything. I hope you're looking forward to the new book. It'll be out in March. Well, maybe even a little February. We'll have to see. The book is called The Tarot Architect, and it is from the good folks at Wiser Books, Red Wheel Wiser. So please order it ahead of time. It makes me look good, makes Wiser look good. It'll make you look good too. Until tomorrow for Saturday morning cartoons, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. And remember, you're where it's at.